Lima is the capital of Peru. It's located on the edge of the Pacific Ocean. It was founded in 1535 by Pizarro. The city was destroyed by a large earthquake in 1746 and had to be rebuilt. It is the second largest desert city in the world after Cairo. It has a temperate climate because of the Humboldt Current and the cold Pacific water. Lima has a population of about 10 million, which is 1/3 of Peru's total population. The Pacific water is cold, and even in the summer doesn't rise above about 14 degrees Celsius, so the surfers are in wetsuits. Evolution of the ceramics from the Paracas, Chabin, Mochi, Wari, and Inca civilizations. Gold adornments made the Inca leaders on top of the pyramids glisten in the sun. Textiles were made of feathers to increase the range of colors available to the artists. Some of the old buildings in Lima had cedar balconies fashioned in the Moorish style. Some had wrought iron balconies more reminiscent of New Orleans. Basilica Cathedral of Lima. Government Palace. Church of St. Francis, with 25,000 bodies buried in the catacombs beneath the church. Peruvian Last Supper with guinea pig. General Jose de San Martin rode his horse over the Andes from Argentina to liberate Peru in 1821. On the statue beneath the general is Madre Patria, the symbolic mother of the country. She should have a crown of flames, but the Spanish sculptor misinterpreted the instructions and put a llama on her head. Bar Cordeno, the oldest bar in Lima. The first Latin Mass in Lima was held in La Merced Church. La Merced Nativity Scene. Changing of the guard at the government palace. House of Congress with a statue of Simon Bolivar. Central Market in Lima. Chinatown. Peru has the largest ethnic Chinese community in Latin America with over 1 million members. Chinese immigrants were originally brought to work in coastal sugar and cotton plantations. Rio Rimac, one of 3 rivers in Lima. Lima is a desert city and is totally reliant upon water from the rivers brought down from the mountains. Mount Christopher Favela is in the background. Iquitos is the capital of the Peruvian Amazon. It was founded in 1757 and now has a population of about 500,000. It is the largest city in the world that is inaccessible by car, and there are more than 25,000 motorized rickshaws in the city. The Hotel Palace was built in 1908 by rubber barons with tiles imported from Europe. The Iron House was built by Eiffel in France in 1878. and was transported to Iquitos up the Amazon by boat. The Yellow Rose of Texas is open 24 hours a day. It was built by a former director of tourism who originally came from Texas. Indigenous Museum. Javaro Shrunken Head. Saturday Night on the Malecon. Floating House. The river may rise by 50 feet. Off to dinner. Boat coming in to pick us up to go to the Al Frio and Al Fuego floating restaurant. Iquitos waterfront from the restaurant. Belen Market, assorted chilies. Black corn used to make a sweet purple drink called chica morada. The Amazon contains at least 269 varieties of fish. Tiger catfish. Cayman tail. Turtles. Belen City is a suburb on the east side of Iquitos. It has a population of about 75,000 and is a center of intense commercial activity. In the rainy season, water regularly floods up to the level of the second stories of these homes. Homes on stilts and floating homes counteract the risk of flooding. Entrance to the jetty in Nauta. Victor's great joke. He told us this was to be our home for the next week. Nauta waterfront. Tropical rain shower. Victor said, "Welcome to the rainforest." Queen Violeta, our actual home for the week in Amazonia. The Maranon and Ucayali rivers join together to form the Amazon. Riverside School. Small Indian village. Traffic on the river. Entrance to the Pacaya Samira National Reserve, the largest reserve in Peru, more than 20,000 square kilometers. It is bordered by the Maranon River in the north and the Ucayali River in the south. It has a huge biodiversity, 527 different types of birds, 102 mammals, 69 reptiles, 58 amphibians, and more than 1,000 plants have been identified. Paddling with Elda. Raoul clears a path through water hyacinths. Black vulture eating a dead stingray. Weaver nests. Hummingbird nest. Pygmy marmoset, the smallest monkey in the world. Sloth. Three-month-old orphaned baby river otter that has to be taught how to swim. 1.5-year-old orphaned manatees that have to be weaned and taught how to eat aquatic vegetation. Insect-eating bats. Northern leaf lizard. Victoria amazonii, giant water lilies. Day 1 they're white, day 2 they're pink, and day 3 they turn purple and die. Anacondas. Redback boa constrictor. Poison dart frogs. Green iguana. Gray and pink river dolphins. Shovel-nosed catfish. Beef pieces, piranha bait. Stirring up the water to chase away tetras that will eat the bait. Raoul catches a red-bellied piranha.
Fish.
How about that, Angus?
There you go.
Good, nice fish, Grandma, but watch your fingers.
Victor catches a whale. Raoul with a white piranha. Alluvial sand dunes at the edge of the Maranon River. San Regis is a small waterfront community on the Maranon River. It was founded in 1723 and is older than Iquitos. Harvesting yucca, which is growing next to sugarcane. Drying plaice, Amazonian delicacy. Lunch with Selma and her daughter Sharon. Camu camu juice, lemongrass tea. Catfish cooked in a plantain leaf. Mashed and roasted plantain, roasted yucca strips, and smoked wild boar. Maria Alicia, a shaman, purifying Charlie. Through the jungle to the tree of life. cacao fruit. The nuts inside are dried and crushed to produce chocolate. Charlie of the jungle. Giant kapok tree, the tallest tree in the jungle, believed by the Amazonian Indians to be the tree of life. Raul, our boatman. Willie, our local Indian guide. Claudio, the bartender on the boat. And Victor, our naturalist. The Urubamba River flows through the Sacred Valley and ultimately enters into the Amazon River. Pisac was built in the early 1400s to protect Cusco and the southern entrance to the Sacred Valley. It was destroyed by Spanish conquerors in the 1530s. The 600-year-old agricultural terraces are still used today. The rich soil was carried up by hand from lowland to high terraces. The terraces produced a surplus of food. The top of the mountain contains temples and homes for nobles and priests. Citadel is built on a natural spur and overlooks the valley. The site has sophisticated stone aqueducts. Pisac contains the largest Inca cemetery discovered to this time. Mummies were buried in the stone on the mountainside. Many graves were opened and ransacked by the Spanish to get treasures buried with the mummies. Incas were buried in the fetal position and returned to Mother Earth so they could be reborn. Lunch and horse show at the Huayra restaurant outside of Ollantaytambo. The Peruvian Paso horses are a famous breed that have a natural four-beat dancing lateral gait called Paso Llano. Ollantaytambo was the royal estate of the Inca Emperor Pachacuti. Later, at the time of the Spanish conquest, it served as a stronghold of Manco Inca Yupanqui, leader of the Inca resistance. With our guide Maria. Steps leading up to the Temple of the Sun, which was built of pink granite. The T-joints in the temple were filled with molten bronze. Old Inca homes. Pre-Inca carving of a face in the hillside next to granaries beneath protective terraces to divert water and keep them dry. Inca carving of Huiracocha on the mountain overlooking Ollantaytambo. Huiracocha was the creator god of Incan mythology. The face is illuminated by the sun at the winter solstice. The flag at the peak of the mountain overlooking Ollantaytambo is lit by the winter solstice sun. The flag is replaced every year. The fountain in the water temple. The winter solstice sun shines directly through the window to light up the water at the top of the fountain. Train station in Ollantaytambo. On the way to Machu Picchu. Agua Calientes near Machu Picchu. Switchback road up the mountain to Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu is Quechua for Old Mountain. It was built as an estate for the Inca Emperor Pachacuti around 1450. It was abandoned during the Spanish conquest but never found by the Spaniards. It was discovered in 1911 by Hiram Bingham of Yale. East of the square was residential. Nobility and wise persons lived up high, while lower simple houses for lower classes with storage areas and workshops were down low. Religious and ceremonial sites were west of the square. Guardhouse. Entrance to the middle-class homes. Narrow passageways for a small people. Below is a temple to the Earth Mother and a royal tomb. 3 steps represent 3 levels of existence in the Inca world: the snake, or underworld, the puma, present world, and the condor, celestial world. Above is the Temple of the Sun. The Temple of the Sun has the most sublime stonework in Machu Picchu. The walls are curved to mimic the circling of the sun and other celestial bodies. The entire wall curves inwards to give it stability and seismic resistance. Archaeologists believe it served as an astral observatory. The large stones were moved in place without animals or wheels. They were carved precisely with bronze chisels and were polished with river stones and sand. There are windows that allow sunlight through at the summer and winter solstices. Intihuatana, or to tie up the sun stone, pointed directly at the sun during the winter solstice. It was designed as an astronomical clock and calendar to determine agricultural cycles. Temple to the Condor. The collar and beak are on the ground. The upright slabs represent stylized outspread wings. The condor represented the celestial world where the spirit was taken after death. The Inca stone walls were of 3 grades. The top grade of cut, polished, fitted stones was reserved for the gods and used in temples, as in the upper right of the picture. Stones for the nobility were cut and fitted but unpolished. The roughest stone walls were for the workers and were uncut fieldstone. Inca walls have resisted earthquakes. Stabilizing features included the fact that doors and windows were trapezoidal. The walls tilt in from the bottom to the top. Corners are rounded, and the inside corners incline slightly into the rooms. Outside corners were often tied together by L-shaped blocks, and the walls were offset slightly from row to row. Lichens are being scraped off the stones by hand. The roofs were thatched, and the thatch had to be replaced every 7 to 8 years. Natural stone is incorporated into some of the walls. Steps taken by the workers to get to the agricultural terraces and the river below. Machu Picchu is 1,500 feet above the Urubamba River. Andean folk dancer on the train from Machu Picchu. Town of Urubamba in the Sacred Valley. Cusco was the capital of the Inca Empire from the 13th century to 1532. It is a city of 400,000 people, located along the Watanay River Valley and the Willcampa mountain range. Cusco is 11,200 feet above sea level. It is said to have the highest average ultraviolet light exposure of any large city in the world. The original Cusco was designed by the Incas to represent a puma. The Incas worshipped water as a source of life. Tambomache is a temple to the water god. Aqueducts, canals, and waterfalls run through terraced rocks. The water is diverted from nearby hot springs. The Inca elite purified themselves here before heading to Machu Picchu. Kenko is also known as the Labyrinth. The temple was destroyed by the Spaniards, but the rock once was carved as a puma. The temple on top was dedicated to the condor and the sun god. Beneath the rock is a labyrinth representing a snake, and a labyrinth designed so that you never come out the same place you went in. This represents the body's journey to the underground after death. Llamas were sacrificed above and their blood was channeled below to feed the snake. The rock was only 4 to 5 degrees centigrade. The site contained a mortuary table where the upper-class dead were mummified. Silver smelter in the Esmeralda Co-op. Vicuna wool. Alpaca wool. Llama wool that is said to be very itchy. First structures at the site were built around 1100. The complex was expanded and added to by the Inca from the 13th century. Dry stone walls were constructed of huge stones carefully cut and fitted together without mortar. Sacsayhuaman functioned as a fortress. The Spanish removed valuable artifacts and used stones from Sacsayhuaman to build the Spanish Cusco. The stones were carefully fit together and it took about 50 years to build the complex. The largest stone weighs an estimated 146 tons and was quarried 9 miles away. It took an estimated 2 years and 2,000 men to drag and push it to the building site, where it was cut and fitted. The convent of Santo Domingo in Cusco was built over the ruins of Curicancha, or Golden Place. This was the most important Inca sanctuary dedicated to the sun god. It contained a large solid gold disc studded with precious stones that represented the sun god, and a sacred garden in front of the temple contained plants with silver stems and beaten golden leaves, solid gold corn cobs, and 20 life-size llamas and their herders, all in solid gold. The site was plundered by the Spanish and destroyed, with a convent being built on top of the ruins. On our way from Cusco to Puna. Monica with chupa, a breakfast bread made with cinnamon and honey. The Catholic Church San Pedro de Andahuaylas is known as the Sistine Chapel of the Americas. The Temple of Huiracocha, or the Creator God, was 302 by 84 feet in dimensions. It had a large central adobe wall that was flanked by a row of 11 stonework columns on each side that supported the largest single roof in the Inca Empire. The wall is also one of the few remaining examples of Incan adobe. It is made of clay, sand, alpaca hair, and alpaca manure. The swallow holes have to be repaired annually. Storehouses were unique in that they were round. Peas, corn, and potatoes, Andean staples. Lunch at Sikwani. La Rea was the highest point on our trip to Puno. It was 14,150 feet above sea level. A high alt plain that stretches between Peru, Bolivia, and Argentina. Pucara. Good luck tokens outside a Pucara house. Busy downtown street in Juliaca, the largest city in the region. Lake Titicaca is the highest navigable lake in the world at 12,507 feet above sea level. It is a large lake, 190 by 80 kilometers, and has a maximum depth of 932 feet. The water is cold and never gets above 10 to 14 degrees centigrade. The lake is 60% in Peru and 40% in Bolivia. Puno is located at the north end of Lake Titicaca. It has a population of 150,000. Puno was established in 1668 and is now an agricultural and livestock center with tourism being important. It has a large black market fueled by cheap goods smuggled in from Bolivia. There are extensive totara reed beds at the margin of the lake. Channels through the reeds lead to the Uros, which are 44 artificial islands made of totara reeds. Aymara Indians welcome us to their island.
He said, "Thank you very much for visiting my island. My name is Antonio, no? Juan Antonio, John. Juan Antonio. His name, he said, thank you very much for visiting my island. I am happy. My heart is jumping for your visit to my island." ¿Cuántas familias son?
Akan pakal ko familia to hakira kiwawa na kampach kalpachani patung ka payan ni hakip to wawa na kampach kalpachani.
¿Cuántas familias?
7 familias, 22 personas. Niños,
Yeah, he's talking in their language, Aymara language. I am Quechua speaker people. For me, it's a little difficult to understand. Yes, that's the reason I am asking in Spanish. He said, we are 7 families. And into 7 families, we are 22 people.
Instructions on how the islands are made. The reed roots are cut into blocks and staked together. Once the root blocks have been anchored, they are covered with layers of reeds that are compacted down by walking on them. The reeds beneath deteriorate and reeds have to be added every couple of weeks. Fish are an important part of the diet. These are little catfish. The Aymara also eat wildfowl. This is a coot and their eggs. They eat the inner parts of the totara reeds. The stalks and the flowers of the reeds are also used medicinally. Our guide Adrian. The Aymara make reed boats. Mountains of Bolivia on the far shore. Tonkiel Island. Welcomed by the headman and the local restaurant owner. Grilled fresh rainbow trout for lunch. The inhabitants of the island are Quechua Indians that wear traditional clothes and follow a traditional lifestyle governed by the old Inca creed, Amasua, do not steal, Amaquela, do not be idle, and Amayuyav, do not lie. Men knit and women spin and weave. Child's hat, single man's hat, married man's hat. When a Quechua woman marries, she cuts her long hair, braids it, and gives it to her husband, who wears it on festive occasions, so a piece of his wife is always with him. Women wear black blankets. A single woman has large tassels, while a married woman has small tassels on her blanket. The men carry a woven pouch containing coca leaves, and when visiting, offer the leaves to the host, who is obliged to chew them right away. The men wear a woven belt that contains personal symbols that are relevant to their lives. Each house has a calendar that is brought out on certain religious occasions and then stored again in a special place in the home. The belts and calendars are woven on small hand looms. Quechua folk music and dance. And then a long trip home.